Hi everybody, good morning. Welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news. As the fallout from Garnacho's post last night hits fever pitch, we're asking the question, how do Man United solve this quickly? And there's one big power play they should be utilising, but will the club behave weakly as normal? Also, Rasmus Inter Milan. Is this a deal United could get moving on? What else is going on in the transfer world for Manchester United as we approach the last week of June? Are United doing enough? I think the honest answer is no, but will we see any sense of leadership, strong behaviour from Manchester United over the next few hours and days? Well, look, the jury's out. But let's start off. We've had a night's sleep. It was last night when we saw Garnacho posting a picture of himself in an Aston Villa shirt. I've had a sleep. Some of you will have had a sleep as well. My perspective has changed, but I think Man United need to sell him cheap. And some people are going, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this football club actually behaving like a bloody football club. If we sell him cheap, it is the ultimate power play for Amorim. It is the ultimate play for Manchester United. And I'll explain that why. Because I've seen people going, oh, Dorgu was training in a Roma shirt. I've got footage of Ahmad wearing an Adingra shirt for Brighton. And I feel like going, you do realise if we all go to the pub and we all have a plate of scampi and chips, we aren't eating the same food. It looks the same, but your chips and scampi are not the same as mine. They're a different cut of fish. They're a different potato. They look the same, but they're not the same. And therefore, Ahmad in a Brighton shirt, Dorgu in a Roma shirt is not the same. You cannot just sit there and go, every player that wears a shirt that's not the club they play for needs to be treated the same. Garnacho is wearing Rashford's Villa shirt when he's demanding to leave the football club. He ain't doing it because he's on holiday and gone, oh, I'll just, he's completely and utterly done on purpose. And if you don't think that, then I tell you what, you're in for a life of pain. I mean, I'd love to see these people that think Garnacho wearing that shirt is just an innocent move. Because I tell you what, if you're the wife, partner or husband of these people, I'd say invite your love around, bang away, as they're coming in through the door from work, and you're probably gonna make you a cup of tea. They'll probably go, oh, it's fine. I realise you're not doing it on purpose. He slipped again and again and again. It's completely and utterly. If you think it's fine, that's okay. But don't be so naive as to not understand why that's been done. It is still a massive up yours to every United fan, Ruben Amorim, and the football club. It's been done on purpose. Whether you think it's okay or not, it's been done on purpose. And whether you think it's not that deep, well, it's as deep as you want to make it. He's put it out there to say, F off, I want to leave Man United. That's what he's done. Whether you think that's deep or not, that's up to you. But what I think United need to do is sell him cheap. Because there is still rumours coming out this morning that Manchester United are holding out for 60 million. And that's just stupid. That is amateur. That is ridiculous. Because there are a few factors at play here that any intelligent business person, football fan will attest to. You dropped him from the final. You publicly said he was for sale. And he's walking round in an Aston Villa shirt. You don't get to ask for 60 million when those things happen. It's like a player being on strike. You don't get to get peak value of a player who's behaving like a spoilt brat, who has been dropped by the club and has been put up for sale by the club. We are responsible as a football club as well. Yeah, Garnacho's behaved badly, but Man United cannot sit there and say, we want top dollar for Garnacho. It's just not how football works. He's exposed himself as a petulant, bad attitude player, and Man United have told the whole world that they don't want him. You can't then say to Aston Villa, we want 60 million. You've got to get a cut price deal, and we're going to have to load this up on add-ons. So my concern this morning is that there is only one power play here. Get out now. There is no point going, Well, you know what? We've seen you in the Villa shirt. We're not letting you go until we get the price you want. We become as petulant, as stupid as he is. You take a deep breath. You walk into the boardroom, and instead of getting angry, you go, this situation's a bit shit, isn't it? Can we all agree in the boardroom this situation's really shit? We've invested in this lad. We've developed this lad. We've given him an opportunity, and he's basically mugged us off. Do we get even or do we get him out? We get him out. We get him out now. How do we get him out? Well, we can probably sell him for 35 million with add-ons. Do it. Do it today. Get it done. End the story. Act professionally. Cut ties. Goodbye. Don't even respond to anything about what he's done about pictures. Just go, this is a player that we wanted to get rid of. Let's get rid of him and let's move on. Unfortunately, I think what will happen is that because we're run by the Glazers, they will have already cashed 45 million. They will have already banked 45 million on the spreadsheet. And therefore, Barada and Wilcox will be going, we need the 45 million because if we don't get the 45 million, we can't pay the payments on Mbermo and Cunha. So we need 45 million. And this is where I think we might be in trouble, because if we start trying to negotiate a better deal, it's going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and we cannot afford that. It stops everything. We're going to talk about Rasmus to Inter in a minute, and it's like what we absolutely have to do as a football club is remove emotion and be efficient. So I would be saying in that boardroom, look, forget about the Rashford reply, forget about the Villa shirt, forget about him being a prat. The reality is, his value is 35 million. Like, we're not going to get any more than that. The truth is, only Napoli and Aston Villa are in for him. There's a story out there this morning, I forget where it was from, that there's a list of Premier League clubs after Garnacho. The list is irrelevant. There's only Villa and Napoli that are viable options, and they're not willing to pay £45 million. Premier League clubs in for Garnacho is always used, but it's the quality of the Premier League clubs that are looking at him and what they're willing to pay. Some of these clubs are mid-table clubs who want to take him on loan. Some of these clubs he wouldn't, fart on if they're on fire. The biggest club that's actually looking at him is Aston Villa. Napoli are interested from Italy, but they're not going to pay £45 million. So don't get excited about this list of Premier League clubs. It's Villa and Napoli as of this morning, and neither are going to give us the money we want. Napoli can't afford it, and Villa are sort of like, well, we can't really afford it either. So I just think the power play from Amorim and Man United here is to just sell him. Sell him for 35 million and put in there another 20 in add-ons and also a sell-on clause. Somebody said last night we should put a buyback clause. I think it's an irrelevance. I don't think he's ever coming back to Manchester United. So, I mean, you could put a buyback clause there. I'd rather put a sell-on clause. If he goes to Villa, does really well, at 23 he goes to, I don't know, PSG or whatever for 100 million, and you pick up another 20, happy days. So that's what I'd be looking to do. And it might be controversial, but that's what I was thinking about this morning. I just thought, you know what? What's the outcome that you would want from? How do you feel about Garnacho this morning and Manchester United? And the way I feel is, if he could be sold in the next hour and we can move on, I'd be happy. So that's not going to happen. But the quicker we get this deal done, the better. And I'm realistic as well. I don't like that Garnacho post, and fair play to him. If you check his Instagram post, my reply, or as I would call our reply, because having a big Instagram account means that sometimes you get noticed and then people like it. I did that live on the show last night. I like the fact that that's still right up there, and I hope the fact that the people around him have read it. This is not a bullying, toxic reply. This is, we've supported you. You're bang out of order. It's a big up yours to those fans that have supported you. And fair play, he hasn't deleted it. So look, he's behaved badly, and it's disappointing. But Man United have behaved badly as well. We're a badly run football club. And I was thinking this morning, look, maybe Garnacho wants to go in the next week because he wants to be pre-season training with his new club. And maybe Villa have said, we're not paying 45 million. And maybe Man United have said, well, he's not going for less than 45 million. And maybe Garnacho realises it's going to go for weeks and weeks and weeks. And he wants to be playing for his new club. So he's done that to try and force a move. It's not good behaviour, but it's you know, Man United have behaved badly as well. Not as bad, but we've put him up for sale. We can't demand top price. He's damaged goods in a sense. So there is no excuse for his behaviour, as Cap says. But I think we need to go cheap on this one. By posting that picture, Garnacho believes he is taking charge and saying up yours to the club. But if I was a club looking at buying him, I'd be asking, do I need someone with that sort of attitude? Well, exactly, Patrick, and that's why when we were talking about it last night, it was very much it very much devalues him. Just looking on Instagram, actually, Rasmus Højlund's just put up 5 pictures. Funnily enough, there's no picture from Rasmus, who some people think should leave, in an Inter top. And Mainoo, who was also apparently up for sale, no pictures of him in a Chelsea shirt. Surprise, surprise. And yet Mainoo has been dropped from more games than Garnacho, and yet he is not walking around in a Chelsea shirt with Sancho on the back, which would be exactly the same thing. Apparently he has deleted my comment. Well, he's now put it up as a story. Oh, no. No. Let's have a look. No, it's still there. Still there. Top reply is my brother, love, from Luckhurst Rashford. And then bang out of order, 7,000 likes is our reply, so it's still there. Yeah, but look, as we're saying, the value of Garnacho is dropping, and all I would say is, and look, let's move it on. All I would say is that when we look at the summer transfer window this morning, news coming out of Inter, I think it's FC Inter News, that once they've removed, what's the striker's name that everybody wanted who plays for Inter? Is he Algerian? What's his name? I want to say Yamal. It's definitely not Yamal. What's his name? Name the striker who Inter have got, who some of you lot want. Taremi, that's it. So Taremi. Once they've moved him on, then they are going to move for Rasmus. That's the story this morning. And this is what I would say again. If you're selling Rasmus, do it quickly. We need to move quick. And going back to Garnacho just for a few seconds, he's clearly going to go. So do it quick. But what we'll do is, we'll spend 2 months negotiating, trying to earn another £1 million. Because this is what Barada was saying last week. The club would rather spend 2 months getting another 2 million out of the people that buy Garnacho than sell him now for 35. We'd take 2 months to get 37. And for a football club, that's wild. That's crazy. We just need to get on with it. But we've got the wrong owners for that. We've got the wrong owners. If we were owned by Qatar, then Garnacho would be wearing a Villa shirt for £35 million tomorrow. But because we're owned by mercenary bloodsuckers, they will take ages to do this deal. And I just want to see us move quick. That's what I want to see. Rasmus also liked the Garnacho post. Look, mate, apparently Bruno liked it. De Ligt liked it. People who worked at Man United, liked it. Maud's liked it. I don't know why they've liked it. Take it up with them. I don't know why they've liked it. I mean, for me, some people see a post on X about somebody's got cancer or something like, and they like it. Not because they like the fact that they've got cancer, but they're showing support. So I don't really care about that, to be honest with you. Let's not deflect. Don't care about the shirt. It's the posting and posting in it. But with this club, how it's run, he's not the first and won't be the last player to do it, says John. Bring him back and make him train in a Villa top, says Ian. Riley says he has indeed deleted your comment, but it's still there when I checked it, Riley. By posting that, we've done that one. Get Roy Keane as assistant coach to put some discipline into our club, says Liam. You see, Liam, I get what you mean, but the point is, we don't need Roy Keane in the dressing room to sort these players out. Ruben Amorim's already sorted them out. This is the funny thing. We don't need Roy Keane in the dressing room. I'd like a Roy Keane as a player to sort them out. We haven't got a player who can do that. I don't think Bruno does that job particularly well. I think he's the best that we've got. But we don't need a Roy Keane as assistant coach. We've got Ruben Amorim. He doesn't fuck about. Like, he's literally gone in there and said, you're lazy and you've got a bad attitude, get out. And Rashford's gone. He's basically said to Garnacho, you're heading the same way. You're out the team. Oh, you're going to work hard. You're back in the team. Oh, you've done it again. Get out. That's basically what Amorim's done in the first 6 months. Saw Garnacho, saw Rashford, went, I've only been here a few weeks. You've got a bad attitude. You're out the team. Garnacho reacted quite well to it. He said, okay, you're young. I'll give you another chance. By the end of the season, you've done it again. Once bitten, twice shy. Get out. Rashford was get out straight away. So we've already got that. We don't need to bring Roy Keane in. We've already got a manager that's doing that. The problem is, have we got a board that will back that manager to do those things? And that is what we're waiting to see. Rory C says the ultimate power play would be bench him for the year, ruining his chances of getting into the World Cup. I think 45 million euro is the best we can do, says Rory. Mac Mechanical says, you really need to... I love... Can I just say, I know where this is going to go. So this is Garnacho walking around in a Villa shirt, shocking the entire fan base, but somehow pinning it back on me. So here we go. Mechanical says, you really need to watch your shows or get a secretary. When Garnacho slagged off Amorim after the final, you said, who cares? Why are we talking about him? He's leaving. The comments after the final, instantly after the final, were, in my opinion, not that deep. He'd just been left out of a final. We just lost a massive final, and he decided he was going to leave. I wasn't really that bothered about it. And I don't think it was aimed at the fans. I think it was aimed at the manager. What he did last night was a big fuck off to you and every other fan. That's why I don't think it's acceptable. I don't care what he says about Amorim. I don't care what he says about Man United Football Club. But I do care about the reason we do this. Is the community. This is a fan community. And I think what he did yesterday with his mate Rashford was, and over the weekend, was just a big up yours to the fans. It's very different to an interview after the game. I don't think that was aimed at fans. Divided fan base, prima donna players, crappy media and piss poorly run club. Don't know if I could stay true as you have, Mark. Kudos to what you do, says J-Deep. Garnacho is an immature child. Get rid, says Rob. I and a lot of others have backed the kid for too long, says Greg, and he's just thrown it back in our faces. Wish him well out of morals, but see you later. Exactly, Greg. I feel exactly the same. Good morning, Mark. Hope you and the family are well. It's a circus around the club, and it's sad they need to bring Amorim back. Much love. Solid Blake, thanks very much as well. There's a feature on Instagram where you can remove a comment, but it stays up for the person who's posted it, says Joseph. Oh, so maybe he has deleted it. Coward. Coward. I mean, look, I don't care because ultimately what I said wasn't toxic and it wasn't bad. I said, bang out of order. You've basically shit on all the fans. If he's deleted that, then, you know, coward. Absolute coward. Brandified coward. Yeah. So basically, you just want the world to live in your way. You don't, you know, that's not even, it's not like I'm calling you a mug. I'm basically saying you bang out of order and you're shitting on United fans and you're deleting that. So censorship, really. Fine. Absolutely fine. It proves my point. There is no excuse. You know exactly what you've done. Thank you very much. We win again. If he had any problem with what I'd said, because it's not toxic, then he would have replied. But the reality is he's deleted it because it's the truth. So I'm good. Another win for us then, isn't it? Because you've got no response other than to delete a comment that you are shitting on fans. And as I said last night, all those fans out in Asia loved Garnacho. Miserable, didn't want to be there, didn't want to sign stuff. I mean, that's human beings who are happy to see you and you behave like a spoiled little brat. Again, so see you later. Somebody in the chat said, is Rashford not the same? And no. I think in this instance, I don't think Rashford is the same. I think Rashford's a little bit clever. Rashford's not 20, he's 27. Rashford's team around him is more experienced than Garnacho's. Rashford's very subtle in what he's done this weekend. You can't blame Rashford. Rashford needs to go. I hope he can get a move to Barcelona. But, I mean, the only thing I would say about Rashford is what I found hilarious about this weekend was that he sat there and said that Thierry Henry's always been his role model. And I'm like, first I've ever heard of it. I mean, you've done more interviews than Alan Sugar, and suddenly Thierry Henry's your biggest idol. I've never heard you say that before. Never heard you say that before. But that's not as bad as wearing a Villa shirt. But it's intelligent. It's calculated. And I wouldn't say fair play, but that's a more mature brand. That's a more mature dig. He knows by saying Thierry Henry's his role model, he's talking about an Arsenal icon. And he's a Man United, I nearly said legend. He's not a legend, is he? I don't know what Rashford is, but he's had a decent Man United career. So to sit there at 27 and say Thierry Henry's always been a role model, you're talking about Arsenal's best ever player. So obviously that's either really thick or calculated, but it's not the same as walking around in an Aston Villa shirt. Well, if he had a Villa shirt, it'd be more understandable as well. The reality is, we're talking about Garnacho, we're not talking about Rashford. The reality is, Mainoo's been linked with being moved for a while. Mainoo didn't start in the Europa League final, and Mainoo's been out on the cold a lot more than Garnacho, and I don't even know where Mainoo fits into this team. But he ain't walking around in a Chelsea shirt with Sancho on the back. And that, you can't buy class, you can't buy professionalism, and you can't buy respect. You can. You have to go and do your homework. But my point is, this is just a lack of class. This is a lack of manners. This is a lack of respect. And some people have got it and some people haven't. I would look at someone like Mainoo and I'd go, again, this is what, it's not the reason I wouldn't sell him, but I wouldn't sell him anyway. Because I think the way he's conducted himself over the last 6 months, when he's been linked with moves, stupid wage requests, which, to be honest, I don't think he's made. Left out of the team. He was one of England's best players in the Euros. Can't even start in a shit United side. No pictures of him in a Chelsea shirt. Training pre-season with Yoro. That's professionalism. And you've either got it or you haven't. And Mainoo's 20. So I think that what we're looking at here is some of our players have sunk in the toxic environment that's been, created over the last decade. There still remains one or two characters that are worth building with. Jackin says, hilarious that Rashford's ego, that's big, and ridiculous that he thinks he can get into that Barcelona team. I hope he can, Jack. I think it'd be great if he can find a move. Do you think Garnacho has thought of the long-term effects he has caused with getting value, says Oob? Mate, I don't think it actually matters from Garnacho's point of view. It matters for Manchester United. So what you're basically saying is, has Garnacho, devalued himself to such, does it? The quickest way to explain this is it's better for Garnacho if he goes for 35 million than 45 million. Because if he goes for 35 million, more people can buy him and he's got more options. Man United make it harder for him the more money they want. So if he devalues himself down to 35 million, yes, clubs might say he's got a bit of an attitude problem. There'll still be clubs that want him. Because they'll go, he's 20 years of age, he's a little prat, but we can grow him and make him experienced and make him the player I believe he can be. So they'll go for 35 million in the modern market. It's worth it. He's 20, he's got talent. We'll bring him into this football club, we'll instill discipline, and he'll be worth double that in 2 years' time. So it's not a problem that he devalues himself. It's a problem for us because we get less money. But it's better for him. Met Garnacho in Altrincham a few weeks ago. Sad it ended, says Reflex D. Morning, Mark. If Garnacho was flirting with other clubs trying to sell himself like Rashford, would that be okay? Nope, Nathan, it wouldn't. Rashford copying Henry to Barca. Total rubbish, says Protect. Do you think Garnacho has thought of the longer-term effects? We've done that one. United need to get some balls for once and get rid, says Ginger Red. My big fear at the moment, and this is like bigger picture, is that There's this story about Rasmus this morning to Inter. How long's that going to take? And who's the striker if we get rid of him? There's this Garnacho thing. How long is it going to take to get rid of him? There's the Rashford thing. How long is it going to take to get rid of him? There's the Sancho thing, who won't take a pay cut. How long is it going to take to get rid of him? There's Anthony, which we still haven't done because apparently he wants to go somewhere but they can't afford him. So there's 5 things there, 5 exits that we're not even doing anything on June the 23rd. Still haven't got Mbeumo. Goalkeeper, Anana's not going anywhere, and we're not even talking to another goalkeeper. Striker, who's that going to be? Like, I'm getting up to 8, 9 essential things that need to happen, and on the 23rd of June, nothing's happening with any of them apart from Mbeumo. And at the moment, the only word coming out of the club or any journalist is, we're negotiating on Mbeumo. We're not even working on anything else. And we know that. We know that for time. We're not any good at working on multiple things at once. And time is going to start to run out very quickly. I think June can drag, but I know from experience, the last week of June to the first game of the season goes like that. It does. It just starts going like that. And we're not moving quick enough. And I think we all have to hope that the end of the financial year, July the 1st, might change that. But let's be honest, if we sign Mbeumo on July the 1st, you've still got interviews, photographs that are going to take a few days. Like that's the first week of July done on that. Okay, that's a week of July gone. We've still got 8 deals to do. There's so much that needs to be done. Don't care about the shirt. It's the I've done that one from John as well. Keep one, sell one. Rashford or Garnacho. Garfield, forget it. No, both go. Absolutely. Did the video this morning. Check that out. Do you actually think he wants Villa? Says Rory. I think Villa. Look, the situation with Garnacho is really simple. As I said, there's a few stories coming out this morning about Premier League clubs being interested in him. There are Premier League clubs interested in him, but it's loan deals or clubs he'll never go to. I'm not saying one of them's Everton, but think like that. It's not Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. It's like the best club that want Garnacho is Aston Villa. Chelsea are sort of tentatively looking, but they have other priorities, and yeah, he's not a priority at the moment. Could change with Chelsea because they're so sporadic, but it's Villa. Villa are the Premier League club. Napoli are the other club. Leverkusen looked, but can't really afford it. So he's got 2 options this morning. If he wants to stay in the Premier League, then Aston Villa is his best option. I think Napoli's the right place to go. Neither of those clubs can pay the money that he wants. Exactly, Mark, but people telling me we're cooking and we only signed 1 player, says Ray. Yeah, I mean, look, with regards to where we're at, it's massively concerning because it's just the same old, same old. In fact, I would say it's worse. I've got to say, I think this is a worse summer transfer window than last year. Last year, you had the excuse of the Euros, which basically ate up most of June. We haven't had an international tournament this summer, and don't talk about the Club World Cup. So last year you had the Euros going on. A lot of players are playing in the Euros. They're focused on the Euros. So you can't necessarily focus in on that. And we had the Copa America as well last year, I think, as well. So you've got the Copa America and the Euros going on. That has a big, big impact. Also, we didn't have players walking around doing interviews about how they love Arsenal players or wearing Aston Villa shirts. So I would say that this is a worse summer transfer window than last year so far. And some people might not be shocked by that because they've predicted it. But where we are at the moment, I think we're in a worse position than we have been. Liverpool are getting 30 for Kwanzaa. Strange how they can offload players within a week, but we take over a month to do it. Yeah, I spoke about that last night. I think it is a big concern how slow we are. What do you think is going to happen this week? So a week today, it's the 30th of June. So July the 1st is December. It's not December. It's Tuesday, a week tomorrow. So I wouldn't be confident of saying that we'll definitely get a here we go Mbeumo, but it sort of makes sense that we do, and then July the 1st could be an official here we go announcement from the club. So hopefully we will get here we go on Mbeumo, but as we know with most Manchester United deals, they do take a very long time. On the striker situation, I've seen us this morning get linked to Moises Kean again, Tammy Abraham again, Mateta again, and yeah, I don't know what's happening with the striker. I don't see United moving any quicker than that. Interestingly, just coming out from the Manchester Evening News, and it's from that journalist who obviously speaks to Rashford's entourage, despite Marcus Rashford's "my brother" comment on Garnacho latest Instagram post, the pair have only ever socialised during Man United team bonding dinners. One of Rashford's inner circle also once dubbed him a fucking Ronaldo wannabe. So, yeah, this fake brothers in arms bullshit is hilarious. And look, to be fair, that particular journalist in the Manchester Evening News has got close ties to Rashford's entourage, as we've seen over the last few months. He's been a bit of a mouthpiece for them. So he's basically saying that one of Rashford's inner circle dubbed Garnacho a Ronaldo wannabe, and that they're not close. They've barely socialised in their entire time at Man United together. And yet Garnacho's walking around in a Rashford shirt and Rashford's there going, "my bro." So it's not even a real friendship. It's just two bitter Man United players, petulantly having a moan together. It's not. So basically, there's no validity behind their relationship at all. It's just two players that have been spat out by the club, trying to be brothers in arms. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But this is why they just get rid of them. Nothing would make me more happy than to see Rashford in a Barcelona shirt and Garnacho in a Napoli shirt tomorrow. I'd love it. I'd be like, you've got what you've got, we've got what we want. Go buy. But still people are talking about my post on the Garnacho thing. I'm sure it will get deleted at some point, but who cares? How do you feel about Vlahovic if we can't get the other strikers, says Imad? Well, look, going back to what I was saying before, hopefully we can get Mbeumo done this week. The downside of all this, what we've just been talking about, the Garnacho, the Sancho, the Rashford, is that could swallow up the week. And that we have got to get rid of players. Absolutely, we have got to get rid of players, but it's not gonna fulfill the appetite of people who want to get things done. So, but it is part of it. But I also think that, well, I don't think it, I know it. Anybody who's saying, I'm not really worried until July the 1st, well, I think you've already lost. If you're waiting till July the 1st for things to happen, we've already lost. There won't be enough time. We play our first Premier League game 6 weeks after July the 1st, and you're going to leave yourself with about 10 deals to do in 6 weeks. In fact, you're going to leave yourself with 10 deals to do in 3 weeks, because we need the players for pre-season. There's no point signing a player the day before the game. Like we're desperately running out of time. But United, the noise is out of United. I mean, look, what will United react this morning with anything definitive? The noise. I mean, look, we've asked. No comment at the moment from the club about anything. So I don't know whether they will make a comment. As I said last night, I think for someone like Sir Jim Radcliffe, it's a real big opportunity to make yourself look popular. But just another manic Monday. Well, in a way, I'm not defending what Garnacho or Rashford have done. But in a way, it's given us something to talk about. And it's not just about that. But at least it shows that their lack of respect for the club has to come from a position of they want out. And I don't respect that. But at least they're trying to do something. I mean, you don't sit there begging for Barcelona and talking about Thierry Henry, an Arsenal icon, being your role model if you think you're coming back to Man United. And you don't post pictures of yourself in a Villa shirt with Rashford on the back if you think you're coming back to Man United. So, in a way, Rashford and Garnacho are doing a better job than our sporting director, which I don't think we actually have. At least they're trying to get out. The worry is, if they're having to behave like that, is that because the club are saying, we will not let you go unless we get this money, and those players know they're not going to get a pre-season. Because maybe Rashford and Garnacho are like, I'm ready to start the season in July, and they're not going to help me get a move because they're going to demand silly fees. I mean, if I'm Marcus Rashford, I know I'm not being sold. I know I need a loan. I know no one's going to pay the money. And I think this is a really important point. What would you do if you were the CEO or the owner of Man United? You've got Rashford saying, I want to go on loan in July because I want to play football. And then you've got the club saying, we're not doing a loan, we want a permanent sale. But everybody in the market's saying, you're not going to get a permanent sale. No one's going to give you 30 million for Rashford and then pay him 300 grand a week. So he wants to go and play now, and you won't let him because you want a permanent deal that's never going to happen, so you'll loan him at the end of August. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. Yeah, but we want money for him. But you gave him the contract that means he can't sell him. If he was on 150 grand a week, you'd get your fee. You gave the contract out. Rashford didn't walk in and say, give me fucking 300 grand a week on a massive contract. You gave him the contract, so you have to take the hit. You're not going to get a permanent deal, so loan him out. I don't agree with the club saying we want a permanent deal. You can't get one, so loan him out. Get moving. I also think the same with Garnacho. You know, you can't demand ridiculous fees when you've made it very, very obvious that you don't want it. You know, you don't want the player. So I think we just need to move quicker. How do you feel about Vlahovic, says Imad? I mean, look, in relation to the striker, I think that Sudhanva says, chat, did you see the tweet mocking Goldbridge personally? This is horrible. What tweet's this, Sudhan? You know, we all want to know what it is. Please tell us. I haven't seen the tweet. Garnacho is a vape. Look at last picture is football. I don't know what that means. Reflex. Look, in relation to Vlahovic and in relation to the striker for Manchester United, as sad as it may be, but as honest as we have to be, when it comes to the striker, we're waiting on Arsenal's decision. That's where we are about that. When Arsenal decide if they want Sesko or Gyökeres, I think we will move from there. If they go for Gyökeres, then we might go for Mateta. If they go for Sesko, then we might go for Gyökeres. So I think with the striker, we're just waiting on Arsenal, who are in the box seat. EJ says, we're going to sign a player, unveil them to the fans before the first game. Typical commercial club. And Robert McCormack says, annoying that our only 2 unplayable players went on. Hey, you know what, Robert? I do agree with you on that. On a purely footballing sense, you know, Rashford should be still our best player at Man United, performing week in, week out. That needs to be studied why. On a purely footballing sense, Garnacho should be the future of this football club. But did we give him too much too soon? Did he get too big an ego too soon? I said this 2 months out from the end of the season last year. I said the problem with Garnacho is he's been a starter too quick. And he clearly needs to be benched. And a bit of a kick up the arse to get that hunger back. But he can't deal with being benched now because he's played so much football. And look, he gets benched for the final and he can't deal with it. Chuff Bridge, the English lads and academy products acting like prats, but the Brazilian we bought for 80 million is the only one facilitating his move with some class, says Chuff. Yeah, I mean, look, Anthony still needs to go. But at least he is trying to sort of work a way out of the football club, apparently through taking a pay cut. Look, it's disappointing, but everybody is entitled to do what they want in relation to how they live their life. Some people will act with class, dignity and respect, and some people will lash out. We all know that from our personal lives. When you part ways with friends or colleagues or whatever. Some people want to blame the world, and some people just take a deep breath and go thank you and move on. And you know, look at the way that Scott McTominay left the football club, and now look at the way what's going on here. Dylan says, when's TUSFC back, Mark? It will be back this week. I just need to figure out which day it's going to be, so it definitely will be back. Isn't Gyökeres fighting with his club? Doesn't he have an attitude problem? Says stick to the facts. Yeah, he ain't posting pictures of on Instagram in an Arsenal shirt, mate. There's many great strikers around the world. Who could they sign? Doesn't United board know that? Are they stupid? At least Amorim knows, says Lazy. And Nadim says, I think sorry, get my words out. I think United will do 3 times incoming transfers this the window max. That's it. I don't think we can predict anything with any certainty at the moment. We could still sign 6. We could still sign 6 players. We could sign 3. We could sell 8 players. We could sell 2. I don't think we can, with any sense of conviction, guess what we're going to do. Do you fundamentally think this comes down to player power? I think Manchester United have cultivated player power. I actually have said this a few times before. I am somewhat sympathetic to what we've created at Manchester United with some of these players, because we've encouraged winning Team FC. We've encouraged social media activity to grow the United brand for years. So we've encouraged players to be active on social media, but they're not mature enough for it. So we've seen instances of players liking, I mean, Garnacho liked one of my tweets about Erik ten Hag subbing him. And other players have done stuff like that before. So United have created this vacuum. As I said to you before, during COVID, some of the behaviour of some of our younger players was shocking, what they were doing. Like, absolutely shocking, that you wouldn't even believe it at the time. How many of them are out on, I don't know whether it's the case anymore, but how many of them are out in nightclubs and stuff like that on a Saturday night when there's a game? Like, it's, Man United have just not been run. And it's such a contrast to the days when Sir Alex was here, where he had relationships with most landlords in and around the Manchester area. So if a player of his was in there, he was getting a phone call. Look, he famously turned up at a house party where Ryan Giggs and Lee Sharp were there, and he legged it out the back door. So you go from that and success to what we've got now. And I think United have had a massive part to play in it by giving too much too soon to players that weren't good enough. And whether that's an age thing or whatever, we have a part to play in this as a football club. We can't, you can't, I feel sorry for the fans, but we can't necessarily feel sorry for the club in the way that some of these players behave. How many players have left Man United and slagged it off, and yet they've probably had a few million out of it over the years? The environment at United, and look, we had a manager that said something about Rashford and wanting him to focus on the pitch and not off the pitch. The very next interview he basically had to apologise to Rashford. So the club have created this player power as much as the players have created it themselves. Jonathan David is on a free. Why are we not going after him? And we give Garnacho and Sancho to sweeten the Osman deal. Arsenal. I can't read you the rest of it because it's homophobic. We still need Rasmus. Xerxes isn't complete, says Kevin. And if our new striker picks up a knock, who covers? We can't risk being short on options up front. Yeah, I mean, I think going back to this story about Inter, there is interest in Rasmus in Italy, of course. But why would you do that deal? Why would you do that deal when we haven't even got a striker? We need 2 strikers. Why would you sell Rasmus before you've got another striker in? And I think that's the big problem, isn't it? We've got Cunha, and thank God we've got Cunha, by the way. I think he's a positive in a time of real frustration and negativity. But that's what I said last night, and that's what I'd say again. We need to just focus on getting more players in like Cunha and Bermo, a striker, and build a new Manchester United, because every player we're talking about really is a winger. We don't even play with wingers anymore. Jack says, I think if Inter offer 40 to 50 million for Rasmus, you'd take it. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to get the money that we want for anybody. Like, I remember when we were talking about 70 million for Rashford. Now we're talking about people won't pay 30. I remember in January, we were talking about 60 million for Garnacho. His price, I mean, I remember in January when that story came out about Mainoo and Garnacho, and there was talk of Napoli paying 45 million. I remember going mad and saying, he's 20 years of age. Like, everybody knows he's got loads of potential. You can't sell him for 45 million. It's 60 million or nothing. We do well to get 35 now. In the space of 6 months, his value is depreciated by about 30, 40%. Legit. Like, legitimately, I can't argue with it. I can't say 60 million now. I can't say 50 million. I'd like to think maybe 40, but he has massively decreased in value over the last 5 months. Through our own fault as well. And obviously his as well. Look, we're back at 2 o'clock. I'm sure there's going to be some more developments because there'll be a lot of people scratching around trying to figure out what's happening. As I said, I don't know whether United will react to this in any way, shape or form. One positive would be that it might move the deal quicker. As I know, Napoli and Garnacho by the end of the month was always the big story. But if he does want to stay in the Premier League, then Aston Villa is the only viable option at the moment. But you're not talking 45, 50 million. You're talking 35, 40 million pounds. So let's see what can happen with that. On incomings, let's hope that we get something on in Burmo soon because we could do with something a little bit positive. Thanks everyone for tuning in this morning. As always, absolute legends. Appreciate that. And as I would say at the end, I'm not happy with the way that Garnacho's behaved. I'm not happy with the fact that, we've got players basically flirting with other clubs, but at least they're trying to get moves. Man United need to step up and start doing something themselves as well. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.